Hi guys, welcome to this horror podcast. I'm Riley,
I'm Josh.
and we're gonna talk about a movie that we've both seen.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Unfriended. There's two in the series. The first one's Unfriended, then the second one is Unfriended Dark Web. So, do you want to start off talking about the first one?
Well, in the first one, I found it very interesting because it's a great kind of concept for horror stuff, and for the times it came out in 2016, 2015.
I think it was about 2015.
Yeah.
Think. Yeah.
And it was very topical for its time. I mean, some of the ways that they carried out some of the more gory scenes were very relevant to the time, and I just thought that was a great way of going about it.
It was a really nice way because it's especially with the time, and I know me and you, we both love movies that stick with a certain time frame or incorporate things that are happening when the movie's being made.
And even though I didn't watch it when it first came out back in 2015 because I was still pretty young, but I've watched it now. But I mean, I still remember when some of that stuff was going around about people getting swatted and suicide going around as a big problem back then. And I just thought watching it years in the future, I was just like, oh yeah, all that stuff really did happen.
Yeah.
And it's kind of taking a literal sense to kind of fiction real life kind of thing,
Of
where
course.
the movie kind of not necessarily exaggerated it, but tapped into it and was this is what's happening, but in an extreme setting.
Yeah, exactly. So basically the whole premise of the Unfriended series is these friends are in a Skype call. I was about to say Zoom because of students now.
It's 2022 right now,
Exactly.
but back then it was 2015.
Exactly. So with Skype, it's like a friend group call. In the first one, basically this girl was bullied into suicide because that was around the time. But basically her ghost comes back and haunts the friend group that's in the Skype call.
And not necessarily haunts the call, but haunts the people that she's messing with them and
haunts
all
the
that.
characters. But it's a good movie because especially they incorporate a lot of stuff into it. I know in this one they had a bleach kill, which was very relevant to that time. And then we'll talk about the second one in a little bit. But in the first one, basically they're killed off one by one. But
I especially liked how they kind of started off really subtle with that one.
Yeah.
Because they kind of started off subtle because back for being relevant in that time, not necessarily cyberbullying, but hackers on the web or whatever kind of sending you creepy messages and that stuff going around. Because they started off the movie very mellow, and it was they're on their group chat, and then some anonymous person types in the chat starts being creepy hey, I know where you guys live, or which one of you was talking bad about this girl or whatever, and sending creepy pictures of them in their house or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of back to that kind of relevancy of stalking back then of people not being safe in their own home kind of thing.
So I know in the first one, I can't remember all the kills, but there's a couple in a friend group. I remember one kill. It was a bleach kill. Basically, her camera turned off, then turned back on, and she was just sitting there staring at the camera with bleach. And then the phone fell over, and then you can hear her gurgling and hitting the floor.
Yeah.
So that was one of the kills in the first one, and it was very relevant to the time, especially because all the bleach and Tide Pod stuff was going around. So I mean, it's very relevant with the time, and I know that we like when movies do that.
Yeah.
Because also whenever we look back in movies how we looked at this movie from 2015, and then we think back to oh yeah, that was happening.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, it's just a nice
because as you grow up, you kind of forget the youth stuff of what used to be happening and all that. I assume in a couple of years we're gonna look back on this and be like, oh, all that stuff really did happen.
Exactly. Let's flash back to 2020.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so the first one basically they killed one by one off, but in my opinion, I like the second one a bit more.
Yeah, second one was good
because I feel like it had more relevancy, and also they had more funding because of the success of the first one.
Yeah,
they had more funding, so they could actually put more money into kills and.
When I watched it, I really felt that they really upped their game and was
they upped their game a lot.
The first one went well, but what can we do better?
Especially, but I like how they use Skype, and if you pay close attention, you can tell how the camera quality changes because as time evolves, the cameras got better.
Yeah,
which which I know they probably didn't mean for that to happen, but it's a
But
nice.
it's still kind of in the future.
It's a nice
It's happening
touch.
again.
Exactly. It's just a nice touch to put on that.
Mm-hmm.
But back to talking about the second one. The second one's got the same premise, but this time it's not a haunting.
It's not like a ghost.
Hackers.
Yeah.
So basically, this one I know a bit more because
I feel
this
like
one I've really watched like hundreds of times.
when I first watched it, I can't remember if I was either not paying attention to it the whole time or I
Yeah.
just didn't finish it. But
Yeah.
I don't know a whole lot about the second. I know less about the second one than I do about the first one.
Yeah, see, I feel like you know more about the first. I know more about the second. But so basically, the second one follows the same premise, but it's hackers this time.
Yeah.
So basically, the main character, he's dating a girl who's deaf, which plays into the story later on. But basically, he found this computer in a lost and found. It was there for like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So he took it home. He showed his friends. So as he's logging into everything, he sees the same user on every single login. It's Sharon 4. It's on Nora 4. Yeah, Nora 4. But it's on every single platform, Spotify, Facebook, and everything. So basically, it's hackers. And it's called Unfriended Dark Web. So it involves the dark web, which was also relevant to, I think it was 2017, 2018 when it came out. So it was also very relevant with the dark web.
And hackers and
Exactly. But so he loads it up. They're playing card games. But then the hacker starts messaging, saying, like, you have my computer.
Kind of like the first one kind of starts off mellow, and then it's like kind of gets creepy, like, hey, I know where you live, you have my computer, and all that kind of stuff.
And then also, it shows how easy it is to find people, because this, one of the hackers went to this girl's college page, found her address, found where she lived, and that's how she died. Because you can find her from anything, like even photos in the background. They find like college, they go to college, they find the name, they find address, they find phone number. It just shows how easy people can find your stuff nowadays, which is really creepy, and it scares me sometimes. But that's one of the kills. Another kill that happened was a swatting kill.
Yep.
Which you can talk about that one.
And I can't remember, that was in the second movie, right?
This was in the second one.
And so it was very interesting because in that time, back in 2017, 2018, swatting was a big thing, where like a lot of people were doing like police suicides and stuff like that, and that got really big and really dangerous back in 2018, 2017.
Yeah.
And one of the things was that they hacked into his speaker, and like they called the police to his address, and like the guy was hiding in his room trying to stay away.
Yeah.
And the hackers kept playing like noises through his speaker, like a girl screaming or like I have a hostage and stuff like that. And so they stormed his room and shot him and killed him and whatnot. And it was very relevant to the times, but it was that was another one of the times that the hackers got into his stuff and like actually hacked his speakers and started playing stuff.
And then those are the fun kills, but if you like want to watch these, you can watch them on any platform. Or if you don't want to watch the full movie and you just want to watch the kills, there's this YouTuber called Dead Meat. He goes over a bunch of horror movies. I know that me and him both watch him, so we like to watch them. But unlike the first one, Unfriended Dark Web had 3 endings. They had 3 that theaters could play. They had one, I think that was the director's cut. But in the first one, so basically he signed to his girlfriend to meet where they first kissed, because he wants to talk to him about it and make sure that she's safe, because one of the hackers is following her around.
Yeah.
So they decoded her message, his message, and went to the first spot and found them, and then like held them hostage, because they were filming all this, and people, like rich people, were betting on every single decision. And there was this one scene where he had actually transferred money from Sharon's account into his.
Oh, okay, like stealing money.
So they said, should he stay alive or not? And they voted yes, so they stayed alive. The second ending, she got kidnapped and taken to a warehouse, and he got to the warehouse and saw a gun and was thinking about shooting himself, which they were also betting on if he was going to shoot himself or not. And then the third one, he's riding his bike to the place, and he gets hit by a van.
Oh.
And then he gets placed in a casket and buried underground.
Dang.
And she gets to the spot where they first kissed, and they're on FaceTime. They're banging, which I know. Me,
That's one of my personal fears.
Yeah.
I hate that.
yeah, me and you and a lot of people are scared about that. But I mean, it's just a very good movie. So if you have the chance, watch it, or you can watch Dead Meat, who did
Yep.
a kill count on both of these. But I think that's all the time that we have for you.
Yeah. So, have fun watching scary movies.